Lane.
Today on the news and why it matters, Rudy Giuliani, in the midst of impeachment, says he will now start to reveal the evidence he has against Joe Biden. Also, the Biden campaign issues a warning to the media. Better fall in line and debunk corruption claims, or else there's no other truth here. Nothing to see. Got a lot coming up, and it starts right now. Welcome to the news and why it matters. I am Sarah Gonzalez, today joined by the one and only Stu Burgier,
Yes.
who has been missing the show because he's got his own stuff. He's like really big and like a huge celebrity now with his own show. And so he's too busy for us.
Yes.
But he's been really busy with Stu Does America.
Yeah, getting everything ready for the February 4th launch.
Yes.
So we've been very busy, but I miss you guys. I miss being over here, so I'm excited.
Thanks. Yeah. Well, thanks for being back. I know you're really busy, so thanks for taking the time. Jason Buttrell, chief researcher of the Glenn Beck program, and the Blaze.com's very own Aaron Colin. Thanks you guys for being here. We got a lot to get into. First, we would like to thank our sponsor, Relief Factor. So if you are one of many Americans who just live in constant pain and you're just really depressed and in a bad mood all the time because you're just in pain, you are not alone. There are 50 million people who miss work in America due to pain, and these people spend over $2,000 a year to combat their pain. 65% are just like, well, this is life. This is just the way life is now. I'm just gonna live in pain. That's awesome. Yeah, you don't want to live that way. You got to try Relief Factor. It's 100% drug-free. It was created by doctors. It targets the inflammation in your body. I know all you people who are like big pharma people like Stu over here are like, okay, all natural, drug-free. I don't think that really works. Yeah, well, it works for 70% of the people who try it. They try that 3-week quick start pack. It's $19.95, and they go on to keep ordering more. That's how many people it's working for. If you are one of those people who just live in pain, it doesn't have to be that way. You can go to relieffactor.com, get that 3-week quick start pack. Like I said, it's $19.95. That's like $1 a day. I'd say that's a pretty wise investment that you should make to see if you can get out of pain. If you do, it is life-changing. That is relieffactor.com. Go there now. Well, go there after the show. Like, watch the show first and then go there immediately after the show. Rudy Giuliani. President Trump's personal lawyer, of course, Rudy Giuliani, in the midst of all of this impeachment circus. And you guys, I try. Every day I try. I watch, I scan, I look for usable clips on this show, and I just come up short because everything is so stupid and boring and utterly insane. I don't even know where to start.
CNN that Adam Schiff is killing it. So
is it?
That's what I've heard.
I mean, they're like, this is riveting. We're going to read this in history books in 2060, which I thought that the world was ending in 10 years. So I don't know why they would make that sort of like proclamation. But they're acting like Adam Schiff is just like, he is really sticking it to Trump. He is really making the case for impeachment when in reality, there's nothing. There's nothing.
Everything that he's saying right now, we've already heard them say over the past, month or so. So literally everything. You can skip through all of this entire thing. I just want to see what the lawyers have to say, because there's been no defense, public defense, really, from his side through this entire thing.
And then he'll even come out and say, President Trump did all these things. He shows that he believes that he is above the law. And it's like, but you didn't accuse him of breaking any laws.
That's true.
What is the law that you accused him of breaking? There is none.
Yeah, they're making a big point about the fact that they don't need him to break a law to impeach him. That was actually a big part of their initial presentation, was to say that they didn't need to break a law to impeach him. So I don't think being above the law has any part of this conversation. I've been thinking about this a lot, and I think you're right. Whenever you talk about boring and ineffective and all the words that you use to describe, I mean, Adam Schiff does come immediately to mind. That's him. That's his persona. But he was making an argument yesterday, and this just hit me as he was making it for the first time. And I guess we've heard all these arguments so many times, eventually your mind just gets creative. But I don't know, maybe you guys have thought about this, but I hadn't, which is big part of their case is to say that Donald Trump wanted an investigation of Joe Biden, but he wanted it only announced. Well, he wanted it announced, but he didn't care about the actual investigation. That proves that he doesn't care about corruption, right? So that's such an interesting argument, because if you believe that, and that's their argument, that's what they say happened, he didn't actually want the investigation. What you're saying is he went through all of this trouble to get some random Ukrainian guy that no one has ever heard of to say they were investigating Joe Biden? What impact would that possibly have had? We have the United States government under Obama using the IRS to go after Tea Party groups, and barely anybody mentioned it. Some Ukrainian guy saying there was an investigation going on would make zero impact here. The only way it would make impact is if they actually did go through the investigation and found dirt on Joe Biden. But since they have given us this wonderful point here that they didn't care about the actual investigation, only the announcement, we're in that weird period where, like, you have to believe that Donald Trump did all of this stuff that they're accusing him of just to, like, what would the American polls, how would they move if you had a Ukrainian official say that they were investigating Joe Biden? 0.0 points?
Yeah.
And no one would even notice it.
At one point, they were showing all the polls, the Fox News polls that showed Biden beating Trump. And so they said, well, right after these polls came out, that's when he started going hard to get Ukraine to investigate Biden. And it just doesn't make any sense because, like you said, that's not going to move the needle at all. They made it seem like Trump panicked and said, oh no, Joe's about to beat me, so let me call up Ukraine and get this investigation going. It's nonsense.
To Stu's point as well, you said what kind of coverage would that even get? We had in Ukraine, there was a court case and Ukrainian people were convicted of interfering in the American election. I didn't see that on one mainstream media outlet.
And that's a good point. And then not only that, but there is actually an active investigation going on right now into all of that stuff, into Burisma, Zlochevsky, which is the head of Burisma. It's going on right now. It's not in Western media hardly anywhere. We've talked about it a little bit, but you can't find any of that. If you want to find all these things, like if they did announce that there was an investigation into the Bidens or like what they were doing, it would show up very little here. It would show up a ton in Ukrainian media. If you want to know what's really going on there, you got to go to the Ukrainian media.
I really love, I want to get to Rudy Giuliani's tweet, but I really love how all of the left simultaneously tried to paint Donald Trump as like this calculating, cunning, manipulative man, and then at the same time, so dumb he has no idea what he's talking about, and he's not fit for office. Like, pick one or the other.
You have to believe he's an absolute idiot to just want an announcement of an investigation in a foreign country. I mean, think about this. Like, we now know Zelensky, and you may have remembered Zelensky just as like the comedian who was elected president, and that was kind of a little bit of a story. Yeah. But I mean, him even being elected was barely a story. He was a guy who's on like television and got elected. Like, who is the who's the president of Turkmenistan? No, I might happen to know that one because I'm a
because you're a nerd.
Like, nobody would know that, right? No one knows who the Croatian. No, it's oh God, it's the former guy's dentist.
He's hilarious.
Garbanguli Berkmedvedov.
Oh my God.
But the point is,
Say that three times fast.
I butchered the pronunciation. I'm sure if you're watching Garbanguli, you're very pissed off.
Apologies.
But I mean,
he's a big fan. So.
The point is, though, like the Croatian president, the president of, we don't even know who these people are in this country. Like Brexit happens, and it barely wakes us up. The fact that one dumb announcement from some guy in a country that 90% of Americans don't even know exists, other than like, isn't that the place that almost blew up in Chernobyl? Like maybe because the HBO series was still on. It's insane. You have to believe so many weird, implausible things for this to be the story CNN and Adam Schiff want it to be. And look, it's just not there. It's just not there. The American people, a lot of them don't like Trump, and everyone on one side is going to say they want him out, but you're not getting anybody but the Democratic hardcores here. That's it.
As I said earlier, President Trump's personal lawyer, Rudy Giuliani, he's been off and on tweeting about, he has evidence of this big pay for play scheme that he was going to reveal to the American public. He has not yet done so. Today, this morning, let's see, it's everything I tried to tell you. The press last March is now coming out and more. I will now start to reveal the evidence directly to you, the people. The Biden family enterprise made millions by selling public office. Then when Joe was Obama's point man, they all made millions. Jason, I'm going to go ahead and toss that to you and see how much you give us.
Pretty sure. Yeah, I got to be very careful in answering this question.
It's just your job on the line. It's totally fine.
I think I know exactly what Rudy Giuliani is going to reveal, and I hope that he has what I think that he might have, but I don't think will actually come out until there's another court case going on right now in Arkansas. that might reveal this, and that's there's
Hunter Biden paternity.
Yep, and he's just been told. I think he's just been subpoenaed and told to go in front of the court.
You better show up.
Right, because they were threatening to hold him in contempt because he has failed to turn over any of his financial records to the court.
Right, and so when you just hear that on face value, you're like, okay, whatever. So he had a little bit extra money that he wasn't, he's being a turd and didn't get it over like he should have. But there's so much more involved there. When you see these financial records, which I hope that Giuliani has, could reveal, okay, I got this money into this account. Where did that money come from? Did it come from this entity in a certain place? Did it come from one of those crazy, again, I'm going to get myself in trouble, one of those places, that shady business deals go on? I think that that's probably what he has. But when the American public finds that information out, it's going to be the Rosetta Stone, if you will, that translates the entire July 25th phone call. And you'll understand that call in a completely different light. Everything that he mentions in there, from CrowdStrike, which is a conspiracy theory, but that will mean something different once you realize some of these financial records. That will mean something completely different. Investigations into Hunter Biden is a completely different context. Some of the people that he mentions, you'll look at it, you'll finally realize, oh my gosh, this is why we withheld military aid. This is the reason why, and it has nothing to do with politics whatsoever.
Yeah. Aaron, you got to believe, Rudy Giuliani has got to finally dump this evidence because he keeps teasing it and he keeps telling the American people it's going to be like the Russia thing or the impeachment thing where the American people are going to go, okay, we've heard this too much. We're turning it off now.
I find myself frustrated with the teasing that comes with some of these people. Like John Bolton has done something similar. Like, I know stuff, but, I may talk, I may not. If you have the information, now's the time. We're in the impeachment trial. Let's go ahead and get it out there so we can see what's going on, especially if it's relevant to the call, like you said. If you have something that's clear, put it out there for us to see it. And if you don't have it, I'm kind of, to hear the teases, I'm just kind of like, okay, well, if you got it, show me. But if you don't have it yet, I'm not interested in hearing the.
That's why it's imperative that that Hunter Biden testify. I want to get him. That's why they are scared to death. Scared to death. There was what was that Monday when there was the rumor that they might trade Bolton for Hunter, and then was it Chuck Schumer was like, oh no, that's not on the table. That was a prank caller. It must have been something like that.
I'd pull the trigger on that trade right away.
Oh, because what are you going to find out? Oh, yes, I said that it was a drug deal. I did not agree with them. What else you want to hear? What else are you going to hear? There's a reason why. That's all you're going to find out.
And honestly, even if he does have something that's damaging to the Trump administration, I'd want to hear it, right? From Bolton. I think I would like Bolton to testify. I think that would be a positive. I think it probably does nothing but winds up probably helping Trump. I don't think it's going to wind up really legitimately hurting him.
It's going to affirm everything you heard from the other witnesses.
Yeah, probably. I mean, he wasn't a big fan. I don't think they got along all that well and they didn't agree on everything. But that being said, if you could get Hunter Biden to testify, that would be huge. I mean, look, this is a big deal. He's the centerpiece of this entire thing because the whole thing boils down to the motivation of the president of the United States when he makes this call. Why is he doing it? Is he doing it for national interest, or is he doing it because he believes something else is going on? I think the evidence you're talking about is going to fill in some of those gaps. Hunter Biden can fill into some of those gaps. Peter Schweitzer's book is filling in some of those gaps. Even Laura Ingraham had something last night that was a pretty big story. These things are kind of all coming out at the same time. Obviously, some of that is arranged, I think. I think people leak things to certain parties in certain ways for certain times. But still, this is the problem when you're the Democrats and you start going down this road. You've got a lot of skeletons, buried all over the place, and you don't want people digging down this road. And now people have been digging for a while, and this stuff is starting to come out.
And it's crucial. And Democrats have been saying, look, we cannot have him because he's not relevant to whether he withheld the aid. Peter Schiff had this quote. What was that? Just a couple days ago or yesterday? Adam Schiff. What did I say? Peter Schiff? Adam Schiff. Different Schiff.
Yeah, he said it was an abuse of power because he wasn't a relevant witness. He had no information.
Couldn't tell you why this, and this.
No context.
Which is exactly true. He can't tell you those things. But what his testimony can tell you is why those things happened to begin with.
And that's the whole question.
You have to go back to that to understand why the call even happened.
You see the Democrats getting ahead of it today. They've been talking a lot about, well, this is why Hunter Biden wasn't corrupt. This is why Joe Biden was right to do what he did. They know this is coming when the president's lawyers get up there, so they're trying to get ahead of it and set the narrative ahead of time.
Which is funny because if I'm a Democrat and I know Hunter Biden Biden has nothing to say and nothing to do with it, I'm like,
Let him
sure,
testify.
I'll trade Hunter Biden for John Bolton. Let's do the deal. Let him testify. He's got nothing to say. You guys are going to look like a bunch of idiots.
Yeah, if it's a diversionary tactic, if it's conspiracy theory, it will come out
Right.
in public.
Y'all will look really stupid.
And frankly, I think it would be very difficult for Hunter Biden's testimony to live up to the hype.
Right.
Like, he's actually, like, our image of him is basically like a cracked out guy, like throwing money at strippers in Alabama somewhere. Like, this is not a guy you'd think would come off. Well, I don't know. It could be, I'm just saying. But it could be anything, right? I mean, like, who knows? Like, my impression of him is Kendall Roy from Succession, which is like basically the worst possible thing that you could be. I mean, out of control, lunatic, out for his own money. Well, he might come off and maybe he comes off well, right? Like, it actually could hurt the Republicans to bring him, but it's important for America, right? Like, to know what actually happened. If we give a crap about what actually happened, both Hunter Biden and John Bolton, I think, would be valuable. I think that's a good trade.
Mm-hmm. All right. The Biden campaign's warning to the media: you better fall in line and debunk all those things that sound bad about creepy Uncle Joe. We'll be back.
Did they use creepy Uncle Joe in the letter?
I mean, that may have been an embellishment.
So it was Joe Biden's nephew that wrote it.
More on Joe Biden in just a moment.
More on Joe Biden?
That's exactly what I heard.
You're calling him a moron in the middle of the segment?
Yeah!
It's a news show.
I
just say moron.
More on Joe
So
Biden.
Oh, now it's
In
two
a minute.
separate words.
In
Now
a
it's
minute.
Calling me
happening.
a liar on national TV.
More on Joe Biden in a minute. But first, we would like to thank Rough Greens, our new sponsor, Rough Greens. So those of you dog owners out there, your dry dog food that you're feeding your dog, it usually has like a 2 to 3 year shelf life, which is awesome for storage, but not awesome for the health of your dog, because it's killing like the probiotics and the enzymes and all of the good stuff that is supposed to be in your dog's food. So Rough Greens takes care of that. And let me just tell you, I don't know if you are like I am, but with my dog, I used to have, I was the supplement person, right? Like, I went and got the probiotics and the fatty acids.
This is the least surprising thing I've ever
I know, right?
I know. So I had like all of these different, boxes and jars that I was trying to figure out how to add to my dog's food and how to supplement and make sure that she got everything that she needed. I don't have to do that anymore because I found Rough Greens VitaSmart. So it's not a dog food, it's a supplement that you put into your dog's food, and it has all of the live nutrients necessary for your dog to have superior health. It doesn't matter if you feed your dog the expensive dog food like we do, or you make your dog's food at home maybe. You're still not getting all of the nutrients that you could be with Rough Greens VitaSmart. It will make your dog's food better and healthier. If you would like to see your dog thrive, which you should if you're a good dog owner. If you don't, then you should probably give it to someone who wants to take care of it.
Go
to
judgmental commercial.
It's like a terrible dog owner.
roughgreens.com/blaze. That is RUFF, like roughgreens.com/blaze, or you can call 833-MY-DOG. Seriously though, it's all in one. It's got all of the nutrients that you could need for your dog in one. You just sprinkle it up and they eat it right up. roughgreens.com/blaze.
And I believe it's 833-MY-DOG.
Oh, sorry. 833-MY-DOG-33 because my dog
and then she's
doesn't.
sitting there for like a half an hour waiting for it to ring, and nothing's going to happen. Poor people.
Math. What is it? What is it really? 833-MY-DOG-33. Luckily, though, many people don't actually use the phone for calling anymore.
That's true.
But the ones that do would have been really confused. You're right. So the Biden campaign issued a warning to the media this week to fall in line and debunk corruption claims, or else you're going to get Joe Biden like he was with Ed O'Keefe yesterday, getting in your face. All right, you don't want that. They said, by the way, this memo was titled, "The Imperative for Honest Coverage of Trump's Ukraine Conspiracy Theory." What could possibly go wrong with a memo title like that, Jason?
Absolutely insane, this thing. If you read all the way through it, they talk about how it's their duty to put down misinformation and for them to debunk this. So it's an order for them to not actually look at the truth of it, just to say that it's debunked. And really, he doesn't even have to put this memo out. He didn't have to put this memo out because they've already been doing it for him.
Yeah.
We did an entire special on all the different things that they claim are debunked, which are outright lies. Nothing, as far as I've seen, that's not outright conspiracy theory, like some of the CrowdStrike stuff, It's been debunked. None of it.
It says Trump's objective was to pressure the Ukrainian government into spreading a malicious and conclusively debunked conspiracy theory that Vice President Biden engaged in wrongdoing when he executed official United States policy to remove a corrupt prosecutor from office. And then, of course, it instructs the media to, quote, state clearly and unambiguously that such claims of corruption have been discredited and debunked.
I mean, it's just ridiculous. Like, even if you want to say that Joe Biden had nothing to do with this, right? There's an issue here that Hunter Biden happened to get a job where he was uniquely positioned to benefit over from the official U.S. policy. He was in there investigating the oil and gas industry, and the biggest competitor to the company he was going after was Burisma, where Hunter Biden was working. And this idea that there's no evidence for these things is really frustrating. You can say, and I think you, Jason, you've been in this world more than anybody. You can say a lot of crazy crap goes down in Ukraine. A lot of people do a lot of things. It's hard to sort out the truth. We've had people on, that we get worried about as you get closer, and we have to go through so many layers of checking because you don't know with some of these guys over there. I mean, look at Lev Parnas, for example, who Giuliani had to go and was working with and trying to get information, get connected to people. Then he comes around and turns around and says all different things that he said to Giuliani, he says to the media. There's a lot of corruption over there. That being said, there were convictions on the Ukrainians fiddling with our elections. There were convictions in the country. So you can say that we don't believe those convictions. You can throw these things out, try to debunk them. The bottom line is, though, there is absolutely evidence to these things. And they know it, but giving that nuance opens up the door for people to question it. So they just go out with these straight out denials, don't even look. I mean, it's the opposite of the Glenn Beck approach of do your own homework. It's don't even look, don't do your own homework, don't look over there, because what you'll find we don't want to deal with. And that's the sort of motivation that the media shouldn't have. It should be to go for the truth.
What's weird is all of a sudden, it seems like a sudden paranoia has hit them. Just all of a sudden, like specifically this past week or so. And I think it was a couple of days ago, the Biden campaign came out with this like slick little, what really happened in Ukraine? And I was like, holy crap, I'm watching this because we've done so much work on it. I want to see what he's going to say about it. And it was just a bunch of
nothing
garbage. Literally, he was like, I did nothing wrong. It was a perfect phone call. It was his version of that, exactly what it was. I was fully in line with U.S. policy, all this stuff. But then I heard Adam Schiff, didn't call him the other Peter or whatever that's called for. But Adam Schiff said he regurgitated the exact same words yesterday, the exact same words. And now we see this memo which says so it's a coordinated thing for them to come out right now and get ahead of this. But I really don't. That's why I don't know who they're addressing, because the mainstream media is already on board.
It strikes me as a bad strategy, because if nobody's really covering it, and then you say, don't look at this corruption that we have over there, well, everybody's going to be like, well, what do you keep talking about? You're sending us videos, you're sending memos to the media. That's just going to make more people who probably weren't going to care about it say, well, let me just check on this to see.
Don't press that red button.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you, because as a reporter, especially if you're an honest, ethical reporter and you hear an entire campaign tell you, you better not spout this, you better just debunk it whenever you hear it, your reporter mindset has to go,
obviously.
Okay, there's something here that I need to look into.
Well, there's none of them, because what they've been reporting so far are just straight up lies. I've seen them link back as their evidence to headlines, where the headline said everything they wanted it to say, but if you read further down along in the article, it was aggregated. Once you see where they aggregated it from, it said something completely different. But they took the aggregated, misleading headline because it's what they want. That's the narrative they wanted you to follow.
They know people aren't going to dig into this Ukrainian stuff because it really is hard to get to the Ukrainian media sources and to know what to trust.
Right.
So they know people aren't going to go that far. So all they have to do is paint the surface over, and then they'll pretty much be clean.
Lazy reporters, all of you, except the ones here. You guys are cool. Back in a minute.
Thanks.
Shots fired at Aaron.
Before we go into overtime, in case you missed it when we talked about it earlier in the show, you are missing out if you do not tune in to Stu Does America. You've got some content out this week. Is it preview content?
Yep, some preview content coming out this week, and we're still kind of finalizing the set and getting all that stuff ready. But the first day of the show in full form will be February 4th. It's the day after the Iowa caucus, and it sounds important that we scheduled that day. Also happens to be the day I get back from the Super Bowl. So really, I probably should have started the show like 2 weeks ago, but the Super Bowl trip was coming up. So we're going to do it February 4th. It's going to be very exciting. I'm really excited to do it because it's going to be kind of a fun way to be able to deal with the news on an everyday basis on another format. So have a little fun, and then of course the most important part of my day comes to the news and why it matters. Whenever possible.
Stop it. Okay, keep going. Coming up in overtime, President Trump going to be the first president to attend the March for Life in person. Huge. More to come. BlazeTV.com.